Today is Wednesday, October 7th, 2020, and welcome to another edition of Wildcat Weekly. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Joe Kraus. Thanks again for joining us. And if you can hardly believe we're already a month into the 2020 fall semester, the Bills are still undefeated. Halloween is just a couple of weeks away, and we have another treat in store for you tonight as we welcome our first student athlete of the semester. He'll talk about his past success with Daemen, the upcoming season ahead, and what it's meant to be part of the Daemen College community. As always, you can find us all across social media. We are on Twitter at Daemen Athletics, like our Facebook page, Daemen College Athletics, and visit our website, DaemenWildcats.com. Our guest tonight is a senior on the Daemen men's tennis team. He has racked up 43 career wins over the past 3 seasons and is ready for more action, hopefully this spring. He also kicked off the Wildcat Social Series on campus last month, where he wrote about his thoughts on racial inequality in this country. And he is also the vice president of the Daemen College Student Government Association. Folks, it's my honor to bring on the show this week from Daemen men's tennis, Jose Williamson III. And we're back for another edition of Wildcat Weekly. We're here with Jose Williamson III from Daemen Men's Tennis. Jose, thanks for joining us. And I guess just to start off, man, how has your senior year been for you so far? Is it exciting to finally be a senior here at Daemen?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely exciting. My last year here at Daemen, so yeah, it's just been exciting. It's been different getting used to all the changes and adjustments everyone's having to make, but still excited regardless. Just excited to get back on campus to see everybody, even if it's with the mask. Just happy to be back, enjoying this so far.
Of course. And I mean, back in March, I mean, nobody expected us to be back on campus. Um, even doing this interview right now, nobody expected it to happen. Um,
Really.
I mean, how would you describe the early stages of, the quarantine, having to, things kind of slowing down in a sense? How would you describe that kind of feeling?
Um, like I said, it's just been an adjustment really. Um, Living off campus at one of the hotels. Yeah, like I said, it's just been an adjustment, and just getting used to doing things a little bit differently. But I feel like everybody's doing a great job. C- Things are starting to settle in. Getting into a little bit of routine. So it's been good in that sense. Honestly, can't complain at all. Just trying to stay optimistic, hopeful, and it's a little bit harder, but it's been good.
Definitely, definitely. Now, in this past few weeks or so, Jesse Pelote took over the tennis program from Kerry McDermott, and
Mhm.
Kerry coached you the past 2 seasons. I guess, what have been your early interactions with Jesse been so far, and what have you learned? What did you learn the most from Kerry the past couple of years?
Sure. Well, getting to know Jesse has been great. You can just tell the guy loves tennis, really passionate. I mean, I can imagine how hard it is to kind of pick up a new head coaching job in times like this, where you have limited access and like contact with your players and whatnot. But he's done a great job just connecting with everybody, connecting with the team, even our freshmen, Sam, who we're super happy and glad to have. But yeah, Coach Jesse has been great so far. I mean, nothing but positivity from him and optimism and just determination. So super excited that Daemen got a good one here. And I know it's my last year, but I'm sure he's going to be here for a long time, for sure. hmm And
Definitely.
then as far as Carrie, Carrie's was great. Carrie was for sure. One of the best coaches I've ever had in my tennis career. Super knowledgeable, coming from Nebraska. He's seen some great tennis, and he left us off in a good spot, honestly. So, I mean, I feel like he really set us up here, like just as far as kind of just to be successful in the future. He definitely has instilled kind of like a newfound like determination, kind of like a drive inside of ourselves as players, and just something to really push ourselves to be better. as tennis players, as students, as people, friends. So Carrie is definitely great.
Definitely, I think you just mentioned about a coach that you want a coach that pushes you. I think that's maybe the big thing that all student athletes want. And before
Absolutely.
you got here, I read, you were a 6-year letterman in tennis at Minnehaha Academy,
Mhm.
back home in Minnesota, and you also played 3 years of basketball for the Red Hawks. I guess, and you won a state championship. I think I read while you were there. Um, why did those two sports really stand out to you at a young age?
Um, I mean, I've always been active, loved sports since I was a kid. Just grew up watching sports, playing sports with my siblings and my parents. So just have always just loved just the competitiveness of any sport. Tennis specifically, just I grew close to it when I was younger, mostly because my pops is a coach. He's a high school tennis coach. He's been doing that for 20 years now, about. And it's just kind of like something that we bonded over. We always love to go out to the courts and play around. So definitely, that's probably where I got it from, as far as kind of like starting my tennis career. But basketball too, it's just one of those things. I grew up playing with a lot of my friends in the neighborhood, kind of like just neighbors and whatnot. And it's just the competitiveness. It started off as just kind of like trying to trying to make a basket, and then it kind of just evolves into actually learning the game and trying to get better, working on skills, dribbling and whatnot. So I think it's really just the competitiveness of any sport, just being able to compete, have fun, enjoy it. I couldn't ask for anything better, really.
Definitely, definitely. And you mentioned about your dad being a tennis coach. Um, that like father like son kind of thing. That's super cool to hear. And
Yeah.
were there any early influences maybe in tennis and basketball? Any professionals that you maybe tried to model your game after?
Yeah, for sure. I remember anytime there was a Grand Slam on for tennis, we were always rooting for Serena, the Williams sisters for sure. I mean, they've been huge, huge influence just to see um, just black athletes and influencers on a big stage, just competing, doing well, and just showing love, representing for our community, and it's great to see. So definitely Serena Williams. LeBron James as well. I feel like you can't go anywhere without mentioning LeBron James as an influence or inspiration in some way or manner. But definitely LeBron James is just. I feel like it's for me. It's more than just the sports that they're athletes and they can do what they do very well. They're also great people. They do a lot in the community. They do a lot of outreach, and they do a lot of donating, giving back to communities and people that just need help. It's something I try and live by. My family tries to live by. Just give back, help one another. You know, but those two are definitely probably the most influential for me growing up.
Yeah, and those are great choices, by the way. I mean, just seeing what they do in the communities, like you said, and I mean, LeBron is going for another NBA title. I think it's
I know,
last year.
season 17, and he's still in the finals.
Yeah,
It's great. Yeah,
every year except last year was in the finals in the past decade. I mean, it's just
yeah, I
crazy
know.
to watch.
It's unbelievable, unbelievable for sure.
Yeah, crazy to watch. We mentioned, uh, before, um, in our intro about that you start off our Wildcat Social Series last month. I want to tell you in person that I commend you and I appreciate you starting off our series for us. I know,
Thank you.
Mike Maranto really spearheaded that with the student athletes. And you wrote about racial inequality, which unfortunately is still a big issue in this country today. And it really, I mean, like I said, I commend you for writing that piece. And you mentioned how you live back home in in Minnesota, only a few blocks away from where George Floyd was murdered back in May. Um, I guess I have to start. Where were you when you heard the news about George Floyd?
I was actually home. this past summer, I had, in the midst of COVID, I had picked up a job at Target working overnights. So I was working a 10 to 6:30 shift every night, really 40 hours a week. But I was at home. I just got off a shift. I was getting some food, eating, and I just remember just hearing the news, and it was, I first had saw the video, and I was I was like, what, where is this? And then like you kind of see like the camera pan out, and I'm like, oh my god, this is literally blocks from me, and I'm like, it's unbelievable. It's to just it's weird because it's almost a little bit exciting because you're like, oh, I know that place, I know where that is, and then you kind of take a step back and you realize the situation and kind of what was going on, and it's like, oh, maybe I don't want to be too proud to say, I'm from this, because it's hard to see anything like that, especially when it's in your own community. You see some things and stuff that you've grown up with. So it's just it's hard to see, it's hard to watch. I think we're at a spot now where the community is definitely taking a step forward from that, from that instance. And that's definitely the biggest positive out of this whole thing. I feel like a lot of people kind of had that wake up call, in a sense. It's like our community growing up, I was like, man, our community was so tight knit, close. I remember going to neighbors' houses, friends' houses for dinner, lunch. Everybody really looks out for one another and cares for one another. So to see that was hard for sure, but I'm glad, and I'm glad of the spot that we're in now, moving forward.
Definitely. And I mean, you mentioned how you saw the news first on your phone. I talked with a couple of other student athletes about this as well. This age of social media kind of, um, maybe opening more eyes now. I think that's the right phrase to say it. People are able to see what's happening. Is that the right way to describe what's happening now with seeing the news head on instead of waiting for the 11 o'clock news now?
I think it's definitely become more convenient, the social media, as far as just, I mean, our phones, our computers in our pockets, but it's like everything is so fast, so immediate and instant that I feel like that's where you kind of can get a skewed story, or kind of like a skewed perspective of any situation. So I think it's nice to have, and I think that it's great that technology allows us to have kind of like um, the convenience of, oh, this is just in breaking news. But with that, you definitely have to be careful of just the sources and kind of like what you're picking up on, what you're seeing, what you're hearing. Be skeptical. Nothing's wrong with being skeptical. Look into things that you're passionate about, that are important to you. I'd say just um, things like that. Just, I think it's a great tool, but just have to be careful with it. At the end of the day, just making sure you know you're looking at some credible sources.
We're talking with Jose Williamson III from Daemen Men's Tennis on Wildcat Weekly, and we're talking about his Wildcat Social Series post. It kicked off our series last month. What has been the feedback, Jose, since your post got published?
I've had nothing but positive, rewarding feedback, and it's that's a great feeling, because honestly, I was a little bit hesitant to do it at first, and that was just because it's something that's really important to me, something I'm really passionate about, my family's really passionate about, and it really hit home. So it's like having two younger brothers and an older sister. Man, we're so close. I just try do anything I can to help them out, and they'll do anything to help me out. So I figured by me doing that, sharing my story, my voice, my perspective, it might influence somebody else to share their story, speak up about something that they're passionate about. Might be a little bit uncomfortable initially, but once I sat down and really started thinking about what I wanted to say, it started. I started to relax a little bit, and it was actually a great feeling. I'm writing. As I'm writing, I just started to open up, relax, and I really put a lot of thought and effort into it. So the feedback has been great. I appreciate everybody who's read it, shared it, posted it. You know, even if they just read it, kept it to themselves. I appreciate everybody for taking the time to read it and hear me out on something that affected me in a very personal way. I'm glad that other people got to kind of share that and feel that with me.
Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, the written word is a very powerful tool. So, and I appreciate you doing that. And you mentioned you have two younger brothers, an older sister. You mentioned in the piece about the advice that your parents, your grandmother has given you, and you mentioned it already a few times, but maybe more so during this pandemic and over the summer. But how important, Jose, has your family been the past few months, and maybe your entire life? You mentioned that it's already close knit, like that.
Yeah. Um, my family, man, it's I can't even put it into words how much they mean to me and how much they've influenced me, inspired me, and throughout my whole life. It's not just tennis, not just social justice or even school but anything. They've always wanted the best for me, and they definitely have done everything they can for me and my other siblings to to just to be good people and be successful in that sense. Success might not necessarily mean making the most money. Success is loving one another and being compassionate, genuine, just being a good person, helping out when there needs to be help, or just 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 being a good person. So yeah, my family, man, I get emotional talking about them just because they mean so much to me. But I mean, they've been a huge influence on my life. It's They're great people. Love them dearly.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, they raised a really nice young man so far, and to take the courage to
Thank you.
do that. There's
Thank you.
one other point from the story, if you wouldn't mind just maybe elaborating on more. It really stood out to me when you mentioned about being a young black man in America in 2020 is uncertain. If you could just maybe explain to viewers a little bit more what you meant by that phrase specifically.
Absolutely, yeah. What I mean by that is just basically whether whether people want to acknowledge it or not, there are there is racism in this country. There's racism far there's racism everywhere. So it's whether you pick up on it or not. Some of it might not even be intentional, and I feel like that's something that is hard for people who haven't really experienced it to understand, that racism isn't just intentional, blatant disrespect towards any minority group. Um, it could be simple as um, being fearful in any sense of just by how someone looks, and those are things that I feel like go unnoticed a lot of times in media and social media, as far as you know um, if I'm walking through the mall, it's it's very often that I might get someone who kind of gives me like a weird stare, or kind of just like moves away, and those are the things that I feel like we need to fix and attack, because somebody who doesn't look like me shouldn't be scared of me because I'm 6'5" and a black man, young man, 21 years old. It's like, if that's all it takes for you to make an assumption about me, um, then I feel like that's where the issue is. So the uncertainty is really just being open-minded, being optimistic, just caring, loving, compassionate. It's something that it's not too hard, but people often forget. Um, you you can't really can't judge a book by its cover. These stereotypes and these these stereotypes, they take a toll on you after a while. Persistent, even if it's little things, they really add up and they affect how you go about your day, how you confront people, how you speak to others. And I feel like it shouldn't necessarily be like that. It's like I said before, just being able to stay open-minded and compassionate is definitely something that we all need to work on, and that I try to work on for myself personally.
Definitely, and you've taken a lot of student athletes here on campus already, Jose, are taking those steps of making their voices heard. You are going to be the vice president of the Student Government Association here at Daemen. I know that talking with Mike, talking with a couple other people, that you're really excited about that position. What are the goals you and the rest of the committee have for this school year to provide change here on campus, maybe in the Daemen community as well?
Absolutely. Well, SGA has a lot planned this year, and I just want to commend Heather Methvin, our advisor. She's done a great job with kind of helping us to come up with new ideas to kind of go forward with this year. It's different for everybody, and I just want to thank her for always being there and just helping us, giving us the best advice to do that. Also, T, the president of SGA, I mean, unbelievable. She does an unbelievable job with just coordinating with all the clubs and orgs on campus to make sure that they know that we are still here and that we still are a resource for the students. So don't, just because this year's it looks different and we might not be able to host as many of events as we want, that we are still here and we are still a service for them. And we still want to make this year the best year it can possibly be. Just being that outlet.
Definitely, yeah, being that outlet for sure. You mentioned, Jose, a while ago about LeBron James, Serena Williams. I talked to a couple other student athletes over the past few weeks of how having a platform as a student athlete is huge. It's a responsibility the guys and girls here at Daemen, men and women, take seriously here at Daemen. What does having a platform as a student athlete, what does that mean to you personally?
Personally, to have a platform, specifically as a student athlete, is definitely a privilege. It's to be associated with an institution, to be able to represent an institution is something that not a lot of people get to do, and not a lot of people get to really experience. So being in this position that I'm in, it's really rewarding. Just being able to speak freely and have just an institution like Daemen Athletics to allow you to do that. It's been great, and that's why I love Daemen. That's why I chose Daemen, just to have that tight-knit community, that feeling that there's someone looking out for you, there's someone who cares about you, and they're going to do anything they can to help you be the best version of you. That's been something that's been very present since my first year on campus. Daemen Athletics is here to make you the best you can be. So it's just been a privilege, like I said before, and I think going forward, there's going to be some great things coming out of Daemen. Not even just for athletics or academics, but just speaking up on things that are important in the community, in our society, and it's just been a great opportunity.
Definitely. Well, Jose, thanks again for joining us today. Thanks again for writing the piece. If you haven't checked it out at home, be sure to check it out. And I heard that you're a big Mario Kart fan, so I'm hoping when things kind of get cleared up here, we can have a little Mario Kart matchup.
Little tourney.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sounds great. I'm going to start practicing right now, probably.
Hey, just save Yoshi for me, okay? That's my guy.
All right.
Thanks again, Jose.
Appreciate it. Thank you.